Good morning. I'm Omega Okama, also from the Financial Gazette.
Morning, everyone. I'm Omut Muperi from Insurance Group.
Good morning. My name is Ippj March. I'm from the Patriot.
Morning, everyone. My name is Muperi. I'm a journalist in the Education College of Southern Africa.
Good morning. Tendai Makaribe, freelance.
Hi, I'm Michael Makuronga. I'm with Papers based in Middle
Morning, I'm Kakwere from the Business Times.
Morning, I'm Zelina from Star News.
My name is Madam Salura from Papers.
Morning, I'm Spatusu for Star FM. It's Grace Madasheki from ZBC TV. One more. My name is Aida Mwana from Radioscope.
Hi everyone, my name is Margaret, Rachel Soul.
Morning, I'm Chatinda coming from Connect Valley.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Chifamba, I'm a freelance journalist.
My name is Kakwere, Executive Assistant to the IPEC Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
I've been introduced already. The name is Joseph Kakwere.
Good morning, everyone. Lloyd Kumbo from IPEC. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ben Seva from NASA.
Good morning, everyone. I've also been introduced already. I'm Shepard Muperi from NASA.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Constance Makonitotlana from NASA.
Good morning to you all. I'm Desmond Chifunde from NASA.
Thank you very much. So that is everybody in the room. We have rim light. Irvin is the man. Anybody who needs photography and footage, so make sure you have his name and contact. He's on our WhatsApp group. And we are ready to kick off. So we're going to talk a little bit about what, just for the program, we're going to start off with, we've done our registrations, we had our welcome. So this program is running for the third year now. When we started this program out in 2017 as Sim Selector, we were alone in the midst, and as Sim Selector, we were a startup, a digital startup trying to sell our product as the first online insurance comparison site, which is a concept that is very prevalent in the global market, but in Zimbabwe it's relatively new. So what we do is we take insurance products and we allow somebody to log on, compare the products for your vehicle or home, and be able to make your purchase. So it's a complete online platform targeted ideally at those that don't like going into insurance offices or those in the diaspora. When we were doing our marketing campaign, we thought that this would be instant gratification. A lot of Zimbabweans would just pick it up and be running with it. But what we found then in our marketing was there was a lot of resistance, a lot of skepticism about insurance. So selling to a skeptic market about using a digital platform when in the first instance they still don't understand insurance or their confidence has been totally eroded because of the events of the past, we found was very difficult. So we realized that the challenge there was to try and elevate the understanding and appreciation and awareness of insurance. And as a very small insurance operator, we're relatively new to the market. We didn't have the massive budget to do an Econet style marketing campaign to try and elevate the understanding of insurance. So we decided, let's go to the grassroots and educate the journalists who are reporting so that they themselves can understand better and report from a more informed basis and report more positively about insurance. And so we started in 2017 with a program of 15 journalists who produced over the time, I think at that time originally the average journalist was producing maybe, we were seeing by and large maybe 1 or 2 articles in a month. Once we started the program, we were seeing on average 12. By the end of the program, we had a whole 97 articles produced from those 15 journalists by the end of that year, which culminated in a graduation ceremony. And we had 10 breakfast sessions, just like the one you're having today, where presenters were champions of industry and from the regulators educating the journalists on the broad spectrum of what's happening on the market and the different products of insurance. In the 2018 program, we were joined by the Insurance and Pensions Commission of Zimbabwe, who saw the benefits of the program for, by and large, the industry, and it was well aligned with their own objectives. So the bar has been set for you to break. What we hope and expect from all of you is to produce at least one article after each program, showing that you have understood the concepts and the content. Bring that into context into what's going on in the market so that you can produce articles. Obviously there are 25 of you, so we're not expecting 25 of the same articles. So we're looking for the diversity, the different angles, your thought leadership, to try and apply the knowledge and understanding that you attain in these programs to what is going out, to what is relevant for the consumer on the ground. So 10 breakfast workshops, so we will run from March through to December with the graduation in January. The topics will cover the full breadth, as you can see on the wall there. We will cover the full breadth of insurance and pensions products, including microinsurance. Presentations, we pride ourselves for being able to attract and bring to this forum the most senior executives, the champions of industry. So from the insurance market, we will be bringing to you the very senior executives to do the presentations of the top 10 insurance companies in any specialization. So you will have the benefit of that direct interaction, which we hope you will take advantage of those relationships and build those relationships so that you can authenticate articles, have interviews post-event, and build those relationships so that you can improve your awareness, understanding, and content. We will also have the insurance associations and the regulators present at each of those presentations so that you can also have the industry perspective of each of the topics that we will be presenting. So do take advantage of that. You really are looking at the cream of the cream. It doesn't get any better when it comes to content and the quality of presentations that you'll be getting. In terms of the expectations, we expect attendance from the journalists, so we're expecting that you'll attend all of the sessions. Where circumstances are beyond your control, work commitment-wise, what we ask for is early warning, but we would ask for at least a minimum of no more than 2 absences throughout the year, because obviously you cannot substitute attendance at these sessions in terms of what you will gain and benefit from them. We also ask for a minimum of 1 article per month from each journalist. The essence and the importance of these sessions is that we are here and we've created this forum to educate you, to help you understand insurance so that you can write more avidly, more comprehensively, more creatively, and encourage the uptake of insurance. So if at the end of the month you've not produced any articles, then we've got no way of assessing whether you've actually absorbed or benefited anything from the session. So those of you that write in digital or printed media, then we expect to see those. Those of you that are in radio, we would expect that you try to, have on air at least one article or one show, and similarly for television, at least one TV show or mention on the news or on any program. And we are here collectively to assist you in those productions. If you're needing interviews, if you're needing access to any officials, etc., that is our purpose, and that is why we are here today for you. So that's our expectations. Anybody who is unable to meet those requirements, we did stipulate that in advance. We will be very vigilant in terms of enforcing that. We will be asking you to submit your articles to us on a monthly basis. We will assess them, and our give back to you is at the beginning of every subsequent session. We will award a Journalist of the Month award, which has kindly been funded by the National Social Security Association. So there will be a small prize and a certificate awarded to the best article, which will be assessed by the collective panel from NSSA, Zelina, and the Insurance and Pensions Commission. At the end of the year, we will have a graduation dinner, which will be in January, probably to around the middle of January, where you will be awarded with a certificate for graduation for attendance. Obviously, those that don't attend, that will not be acknowledged, but assuming you've attended, produced your articles, and participated actively in the program, you will graduate. There are significant prizes that are awarded, which are funded by the insurance society community. So definitely something worthwhile. There is also an insurance journalist, sorry, may I? Previous? Yeah. There's a National Insurance Journalist Awards that IPEC hosts every year. I'm not sure if they're doing it again, Lloyd? Yes, so that runs every year. That is separate from this program. This award is opened nationwide to all journalists. So you'll be open to all journalists, so we will expect to see you all participate in that. But basically there's a panel that IPEC will put together from industry to assess all the articles that are submitted, which can be from any journalist anywhere in the country, including the ones that have been in previous sessions. So the competition is tough, but we do encourage you to participate in that, and that will be towards last quarter of the year.
Yeah.
Last quarter of the year, and we will share details of that well in advance. There is also the Pan-African Insurance Journalist Award, which is an African-wide journalist award, which we are very proud to say the short-listed candidates for those awards. We have Patience Murawa and Lazarus Sauti, who were both on the program last year. And it's directly through the benefits of what they've acquired and obviously their own creativity and ambition that they've been able to succeed to that level. So the prizes are obviously monetary prizes as well as recognition, so do stretch your targets and reach out for those. Lori, there you go. All right, so that's about the program. Any questions, you're quite welcome to direct through to us electronically. We'd like to press on now and please invite Mr. Kakwere Njoma on behalf of the Commissioner to officially open the session. If you may join us, please.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies. I've already greeted you during the introductory remarks. So allow me to begin by acknowledging the presence of the Zim Selector Chief Executive, whom I understand to be joining us during the course of the program, currently represented by Ms. Zelina, the Business Development Director, Zim Selector, and Mr. Shepard Muperi, who is the Acting Chief Executive, who is the Acting Chief Social Security Officer of NASA, with his colleagues also here present, our esteemed journalists, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the IPEC Commissioner, it is my pleasure to officiate the commencement of the 2019 Insurance and Pensions Journalist Membership Program, which becomes the third edition since the commencement of the program in 2017. We've already received that background from Zelina. Allow me, Director of Ceremonies, to begin by also congratulating the journalists represented here for being selected among a host of Africans to participate in this year's program. I must acknowledge the interest and responses received from the call for applications to the membership program was overwhelming. In a bid to manage the program well and to deliver it in high standards worth of stature, the administrator saw it fit to enroll only 26, Zelina indicated 25, 26 journalists from among the hordes of applications. This year's enrollment will be about 23% increase from the previous enrollment of 20 journalists who participated last year. We've already received the background that this is the program is a brainchild of Zim Selector, who introduced it in 2017 with the primary objective of improving the quality and substance of insurance and pensions reporting in the country. Given the strategic importance of the program in enhancing financial literacy and inclusive insurance and pensions industry, IPEC decided to partner Zim Selector on this noble cause. We realized it is also important for the attainment of sustainable development goals relating to the sector that we supervise. In 2018, Zim Selector then handed over the program. I think we've already been notified of that. but it remains a strategic partner to this program. We are excited this year that the National Social Security Authority, NASA, has come on board to partner in sponsoring the program among several other sponsors. It is because of the recognition that we've got a shared interest with NASA for having an informed media that reports objectively about insurance and pension matters. Mr. Muperi will give us a presentation during the course of the program, but they are also into what we can call pension, though from the public sector side, that of social security, and they will give us more information in that regard. We do have common interest with the NASA, and we are working closely in that regard. Prior to the commencement of the program in 2017, we've been told by Ms. Francis that only 2 to 3 articles a month would appear in the press, as the majority of journalists shunned insurance and pension stories, largely because of the perceived complexity of insurance and pension matters. Some of those few published articles would have some inaccuracies, and most often they were merely regurgitating IPEC's quarterly and annual reports. However, as I stand before you today, I'm happy to inform you that the mentorship program is reaping rewards since its inception. We've noted from Ms. Francis' presentation that during the first year, the number of articles, monthly articles that we published increased, and during the first year we witnessed about 97 articles. During the second year, last year, about 130 articles. This year, certainly we expect a big improvement, given the trajectory from 2 to 3 per month to about 97, from 97 to 130, and given the caliber of journalists recruited this year, we expect a big jump. So the quality of stories and the depth of analysis and presentation of ideas is making it easy for the public to appreciate insurance and pensions issues. This is a plus, given that it will help us to advance the financial inclusion agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to inform that the current crop of journalists we have enrolled for the current program were drawn from across the divide in terms of background, experience, and areas of specialization in the journalism profession. As such, we anticipate comprehensive and informed articles from yourselves, given the quality of training you will be receiving during the course of the program. I think by a mere glance of the course content that was presented by Ms. Zelina, we can actually confirm that this will be a very rich program. One of the objectives of the program sponsors is to ensure that consumers of insurance and pension products are protected. To us, there is no better way to protect consumers of financial products than imparting adequate knowledge regarding product features, their terms, conditions, consumer rights, obligations, and responsibilities. The primary pillar of consumer protection is financial literacy, particularly on awareness of the elementary principles and statutes that govern buying, selling, and servicing of insurance and pension products. There are, of course, other secondary protection pillars, which include effective supervision of the market conduct through enhanced disclosure, risk-based potential supervision, and safety nets such as the policyholder protection fund or an insurance guarantee scheme. This I must acknowledge, it's not yet in place for the insurance industry. Like other financial sector substructures such as banking, where there is DPC, and for the securities market, investor protection fund. For the insurance sector, this is actually provided for in the insurance bill that is yet to be introduced in Parliament. So the message is that you do have a role in terms of consumer protection through educating members of the public. The media informs, educates, entertains the nation. It is our expectation that the program will equip you with the right knowledge to inform and educate the nation about insurance and pension products. As IPEC, we believe that informed media results in an informed citizenry. For instance, we want to educate the public about the insurance and pension rights A case in point being that employees who are contributing to pension schemes must check whether their contributions are being remitted to their respective pension funds. Currently, we have a perennial problem of contribution arrears, which stood at about 633 million as of September 2018, meaning that if the trend continues like that, those who are contributing may not get their pension benefits at retirement, as the pension fund would not have received contributions. We also have about 50,000 pensioners and beneficiaries who have not been claiming their pension benefits to the tune of 30 million. Such beneficiaries of unclaimed benefits could be living in poverty, yet they have an entitlement. So it becomes imperative for us to educate members of the public about their rights to claim their pensions. It is therefore also your duty as responsible citizens to educate pension scheme members about their rights to benefits when they fall due. An interesting national development at policy level, we've had the recent monetary policy by the Reserve Bank Governor Dr. Manguja. Whilst it is our duty as the regulator and the industry to educate the public about these issues, it is equally your duty to inform and educate members of the public about the implications of these national policies. So I would challenge you to unpack some of these policies. We can work together, we can work with the industry, Zelina, to make sure that we unpack these policies as they impact on the operations of insurance and pensions. Ladies and gentlemen, your resource person for this program includes executives from the insurance and pensions industry. We've heard from the Madam's presentation some insurance practitioners who will also be sharing insights so that we have a pragmatic approach to the learning process. I encourage you to take advantage of the interactions that you will have with the executives to build relationships that will help you as you seek clarification on any insurance and pension matters. Since Select, I have confirmed their availability to link you with the respective executives should you want any information that will help you to produce your articles even during the course of the program. Resultantly, if you manage to pay attention, work hard and produce well-researched stories, there are lucrative rewards ahead. We've heard about various awards that are there, so we would challenge you to work very hard. At the end of the 10 sessions of this mentorship program, we're hosting our ceremony to honor all those who would have successfully completed the program and those who would have excelled. Therefore, I encourage you to be innovative in your handling of stories and to have a competitive edge for those that would regurgitate quarterly reports or other supervisory reports. Ladies and gentlemen, my remarks will be incomplete if I do not acknowledge the support we continue to receive from our partners, Select, the insurance industry, and recently NSSA has come on board. We highly appreciate your coming on board. With those remarks, I would want to thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mjoma. Right, we are now ready to crack on with the program. The bar has been set very high. You've heard from the chief. The journey begins now. The education journey begins today with a presentation from Mr. Joshua Kakwere, who is going to give you an overview of the current state of the insurance and pensions market in Zimbabwe generally, and then more importantly, the role of the Insurance and Pensions Commission. Thank you very much, sir.
I'll talk about basically what insurance is, what pensions is. Then I'll also talk about who is IPEC. Then I'll give you the overview of the insurance industry and also the pensions industry and the challenges which are in the industry. Just as an opener to your mentorship program, I got an appreciation when they say insurance, what is it all about? When they talk of pensions, what is it all about? As a matter of introduction to the issues which will then, or the other subsequent breakfast meetings, what you'll be learning from there. So, in terms of insurance and pensions, it is a business of promises. I promise. Yes, I do. That's all about insurance. When you talk of insurance, pensions, you're talking of promises. And see, very certain promises. How many of you have broken their promises here? How many of you have not broken, which is making a promise to the other party? When you understand that, then we are talking of insurance and pensions. We talk of the promise to do with pensions and insurance industry. So it is at the core. In other transactions, business transactions, if you go and buy a loaf of bread, you pay for it and you get it. But in terms of insurance, you pay before you get what you're paying for. Are we together? You know, the greatest promise is that God so loved the world that he gave his son, so that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but yet. So you must believe first. He has given the son, then you believe, then you won't perish. I think that promise will stand. Right. When you talk of insurance, we are talking of a situation where you're saying the fortunate will help the unfortunate. That's the general principle of insurance. We are talking of where the fortunate do help the unfortunate. And in this, you are talking of saving for that rainy day. We do have a promise which is made by the insurer to say in the event of a certain loss happening, the insurer will make good of that, subject to a premium being paid. So we are saying for insurance, there should be a contract between an insurer to make good of a loss that may or shall. There are certain things which shall happen. For example, death. It becomes assurance upon your death, because death is certain. But there are some other things which can or may not happen. Being injured at work or anywhere, involved in an accident, it may happen or may not happen. But when you talk of insurance, we are then saying you are actually paying for the promise that the insurer is making to you. And you need to pay a premium for that. So, in short, we are saying insurance is the sale of a promise to do something for the other party if a certain event happens and results in a loss, so making good of the loss. However, when you look at insurance, there isn't much which you can do to a contract of insurance, that agreement. It is an adhesion, contract of adhesion, where very few, or you cannot sort of talk of wanting the terms to be changed, the terms and conditions of an insurance contract. So you take it. But one time in my other life, I asked somebody to sign a certain document, and then the person said, he didn't even read, he simply signed. Then I said, why are you signing? Then he said, look, if you are borrowing and you've got a loan agreement, everything is given by the bank. So why should I even read? What I know is that I should simply pay the loan and that's it. So I don't have to read anything. What I need to know is the loan amount, the repayment, that's what I agree on, and everything else is given. Like most insurance contracts, they're like that. The terms and conditions are already there, the policy wording. But the issue is that the insured should understand this, and it is also the role of the insurer to explain and have the police all understand that. Right, that is the nature of insurance business. We're talking of the purchase of policies by policyholders who pay premiums, and a pool is created from which claims are to be paid to policyholders, so as expenses and profits are made in the process. That's insurance business. There should be an insurance pool from where the fortunate will assist the unfortunate. So everything else, this is the short, long, and summary of insurance business. So maybe you need to know, what are these policies? Is the pool viable? That's where the question comes in. And the payment of claims, that being done in a fair manner. So let me proceed to talk about the types of insurance. We would life insurance, which does include funeral insurance. We've got the general insurance, which is normally referred as short-term insurance. In other literature, you refer to it as property and casualty. You see, it is referred to as PNC. We've got health insurance. We talk of medical aid societies. So, in the happening of that, there's that aspect of claims to be paid. The promise, is the promise going to be met, or are the promise going to be? Are the insurers in a position to meet their promises? So there's also issues of fairness in the treatment of the policyholders. So as journalists, I think you've got quite a lot to write about insurance, taken from the different, you can dream, you can start from anywhere. But however, those are the types of insurance policies which you can have. Let me move to the aspect of pensions. Pensions is a form of insurance. That's why it is the Insurance and Pensions Commission. But what are you insuring? You're insuring against loss of income in your old age. We're still very active here. We are running around. We don't even dream, or at times even phantom to think when you're as old as those other ones. We feel that we are still there and we are running around. But the question is, or the reality is that as we get old, we become less economically active, and our income streams will actually fall. You get retired. You cannot make much money as you used to. And that is the time also when you really want money for medical purposes. As you get old, the problem to do with your health increase, and your medical bills will actually increase. So when you talk of insurance, of pensions, you're talking of creating income which you require in your old age time. And it's done through pension funds. You can talk of the pooling of savings and managing these in a manner that you invest for the future. The underlying principle on pension is to do with that aspect that a pension fund should perform better than what an average investor would do. So if a pension does not perform above the average investor, then there's a problem there. But that's when then you ask the question, so what was the need of me having a pension fund or contributing to a pension fund? Because to have failed that test. Yeah, some people say I can do it on my own, but on average, are we all gifted to be able to invest and make those long-term decisions on ourselves? And over and above that, when you pull your contribution incomes or your savings, you have that critical mass to be able to invest and enjoy the economies of scale as you invest from a bigger pool of savings. You are able to do things which an individual cannot be able to invest in. So, the primary objective of a pension is to avoid old age poverty. I just want you to reflect on that. If you don't plan This can sound and look very remote. You know, it reminds me of somebody saying there should be gnashing of teeth. Then somebody would not have said, it doesn't concern us. I'm not sure that this will concern you or not, but one thing which I know is that all of us, from the time we entered here, we are 2 or so hours older than what we've been before we entered. So we are moving towards our old age. And we need to have some security to avoid such a state, to becoming destitute. You know, in the past, it was easy. With that solid social fabric, some of us, the time we grew, we could actually stay in a small house. Nana sekuru nana wasukuru munakava kumushaingo yakumba. Mishirara kwa mbeja makumba kaenda kumsoro yakaenda umandisa. But nowadays, you can actually go someone live in a spare bedroom, but they will not even think of taking somebody in to say, I will look after you. So the onus is on you, the onus is on the society to make plans to avoid such a state in old age. So that's basically when you talk of pensions, and whatever you want to do and write about, will that position, can that position be avoided? So, we're simply talking of saving over a period of time to come up with a retirement income. But what are the types of pensions? You know that one? My family, my children, is my pension. You know, we can have as many as those. You see those children there, they've got name tags, can't even know who is who, and you hope that they will look after you. But does that work? Or is it working? That's the question. Nowadays, you may actually look at it and say the children want to be looked after by their parents even in their old age. This issue of reverse parenting is becoming difficult because obligations of the new generation, their obligations are also going up. Yes, as a parent, you've got the obligation to look after a kid, but are they obligated to look after you? It's a question to ask. Look at how you can actually secure a pension or even assist a nation and individuals to have some formal pension. Right? Pensions can be the types of pensions. We can talk of a defined benefit, a pension scheme, or we can talk of a defined contribution scheme or a hybrid, which is a mix of defined benefit and defined contribution. What is defined benefit? The perception about pensions in Zimbabwe and loss of value, which is a subject for another day, but what we are seeing obtaining in the market and in the perception of low pension values, other things being constant, can also be a shift from defined benefits to defined contribution. Under the defined benefit, the employer makes a promise to his employees. He sets up an arrangement where they contribute and then promises the employee to say, if you work for me for so many years at this particular salary, at retirement you will get this amount of pension, which is determined by the salary which one was earning, particularly towards the end of his working life, and the number of years which that person has worked. So for a defined benefit, what one gets on retirement is predetermined by the length of service and the income that person will be earning. And that has been traditionally the way pensions were calculated. It was very easy to predict one's pension. However, with that, if the money which is put in a pension fund was not enough to pay the promised benefit, then the employer would chip in and make good of the difference, what you have accumulated and what has been promised. So the employer carried the risk of non-performance, or if the fund, what has been put aside for you, say the employer says, for your pension I'll give you 10 times your monthly salary times the number of the years which you have worked, or a fraction of that. Then over the years there have been savings, and the savings then do not add up to that promise. Then the employer will chip in to make good of that difference. That's the defined benefit. So the risk of non-performance rests with the sponsoring employer. But the employers, in a way, they were actually underwriting the pension fund. The employers actually shifted from that globally. It has been a trend from the 1990s to shift from the defined benefit to the defined contribution. Under defined benefit, you are saying the benefit is defined on retirement. But under the defined contribution, the employer simply saying, I will pay this amount of money towards your pension. And that's where his liability ends. So what is known are the contributions. But what will be paid at the end or on retirement will depend on how the money is accumulated, what the level of contributions plus the return on those contributions, less the cost of running that particular pension. We can actually show this for some of you. Accumulated contributions plus investment returns, less cost of running the fund, will give you a retirement income. So for the defined contribution, that's it. But when you talk of the defined benefit, this is not determined by that. If what is obtaining is less than the promise here, there's a promise here for defined benefit. So if that is less than the promised pension, then the employer chips in. Right? Both for pensions and insurance, we are dealing, or we're talking of a number of people who are contributing. They're either paying premiums for insurance policies, or they are making contributions to a pension fund. After they do that, there are certain people who will then manage the money on behalf of these people. Not all of us are going to sit and say, promise and not all of us will be sitting in a pension fund to make the investment decisions. Some people are making decisions on behalf of others. We're talking about the fiduciary role of insurers and those who manage pension funds. They are doing it on behalf of others. That's, we are saying there's the issue of public funds, abuse of public funds, or good use of public funds. There's that board of directors. We don't know what is happening in there. Whether those promises will be met will depend on what these guys will discuss. Whether during the night or during the day. There's the problem of agents there. Their interests may be different from the interests of the policyholders and the interests of pension fund members. So there arises a problem there. To come up with the laws, to monitor and to ensure that those guys maintain and uphold their fiduciary responsibility. So who is IPEC? That's IPEC. I think 2-3 years ago, not many people knew what IPEC or who is IPEC. There was a very, you go and meet somebody and you say, I work for IPEC. Then they say, what does IPEC stand for? Then they say, Insurance and Pensions Commission. Then they say, so which policies do you sell? Or from which insurance company? But I'm happy that as we engage you and as we interact, you also help to bring about the people's awareness of the existence of IPEC. So, who is IPEC? That's IPEC. That's who we are. You see this guy? You see these two animals? One is more, and it's for the benefit of Lloyd. That's IPEC. So we're done. Eh? These guys are plowing, and this moment should actually be in line or for. And this guy here, unfortunately, is holding a stick to ensure that if these two guys get out of line, they will be whipped into line. That's some control. They are regulating how the plowing can actually be done in an orderly manner. You don't want a farm to go here and there are banks. Does anybody, am I talking to the same people of the same background as me? Or you guys know tractors and so forth and so forth? Right, so that is IPEC. Its role is actually to regulate the insurance industry. I just thought maybe it reminds me when I was growing up and when you're actually leading the cattle, there was a time you actually have somebody leading the cattle, and if these cattle get out of line, instead of whipping the mobs, the whip will end up being on you for sleeping on duty. So yeah, even the whip can also be on the leaders of the insurance entities and also the trustees who are actually charged with the management of pension funds. If then they don't, or if they do sleep on duty, or if they do things which they are not supposed to be doing. So, IPEC is a statutory body which was formed in terms of the Pensions, Insurance and Pensions Commission Act, Chapter 24, 21. And it was formerly, before it became an autonomous board, it was formerly a department, or there were two departments within the Ministry of Finance, one for pensions and one for insurance. However, in 2005, it actually was set up as a board on its own, with the key mandate to regulate and supervise the insurance and pensions industry, to register the various players which come under its purview, that is the insurers, the medical aid, so not the medical aid, the insurance brokers, and to monitor their business. However, IPEC does not regulate the activities of the medical aid societies and also the activities of NSSA, though if you've been following up from the national budget statement, there's been a policy decision made that medical aid societies should be regulated by IPEC. How am I doing on time? Okay, I'll just have to rush.
Sorry, no, you've got 25 minutes, so keep
That's fine.
You should be in good place.
Yeah, I should be able to. Right, so among our functions is also to advise the Minister of Finance on matters related to insurance, pensions, and performing other duties which may be conferred to us. At the core of what we do is the protection of the interests of policyholders and pension fund members, and also to bring stability in the insurance and pensions industry and also the financial sector as a whole, and the development of the insurance and pensions industry market. Here we are talking of development initiatives. Even the training which we are doing here is part of our development initiatives. And we talk of the need to increase the coverage of pensions, the coverage of uptake of insurance, that is the financial inclusion. It's part of our mandate. So basically that's why we are there. And in terms of our vision, we aim to have a stable, safe and sustainable insurance and pensions industry through regulatory excellence. That's basically where we are there. Our mission is to regulate, to ensure that the policyholders and pension fund members, both existing and the potential members, are actually protected. So, I'll give you the overview of the regulated entities. We've got life offices or life assurance, and we've got 9 funeral assurance, 21 non-life or short-term insurance. Then we've got composite insurers, which are 2 who do both life and non-life. We've got micro insurers. So far we've raised at 2. Then we've got non-life reassurers. We've got 3, and composite 5. Insurance brokers 35. Then reinsurance brokers we've got 8. A total of 96 regulated entities. Though we've got quite more than 2,000 broker agencies who are in the market. In terms of the assets of the industry, we're talking of 4.2 billion. You know, this 4.2 billion, we're talking as of 31st December. Before the announcement. So, 1-to-1. Right. On the other side, we've got the pensions industry. The pensions industry is actually 4 categories of the pensions. We've got the mandatory National Pension Scheme, commonly known as NSSA. And we've got the public service scheme, pay as you go, for the civil servants. And we've got the occupational pension schemes, where the employers, various employers actually contribute and make arrangements that their employees may not retire into poverty. So those are the ones which we do regulate. And we've got also people who think that, or who think positively and want to prepare for their old age. Then we talk of the individual pensions plans, which are not linked to any employer, but you can actually have this from the insurance companies. And in terms of that industry, the pensions, we would standalone insured funds and funds administered pension funds. In terms of pension funds, I talked about defined benefits, and I also spoke about defined contribution. So, there's another way of also categorizing pension funds based on the way the pension fund is managed. There are 2 main ways pension funds are managed. A pension fund can be a self-administered fund. When you talk of self-administered fund, we are saying the assets of that particular pension are in the name of that particular fund. So we are saying a pension fund will own assets because contributions are made and they will be invested to get a return to give a pension. But how is this done? The arrangement may be such that these assets will be registered in the name of the pension fund. So when that happens, we say that pension fund is a self-administered. The trustees are charged with the administration of the fund. So if we are, where do you come from? No, your employee. Freelance. That's COSA. Or let's talk of Econet. There was somebody from Econet here. Econet can decide to come up with a pension fund where they will buy assets, open accounts in the name of Econet Pension Fund. So the fund in that aspect will be a self-administered fund. But even then, the self-administered funds, there are two types. One, the fund may actually employ people to run the affairs of the fund. And when they do that, it is called a stand-alone pension fund. Like you've seen ZESA, Construction Industry Pension Fund, NRZ Pension Fund. They've got actually structures which are owned, and the pension fund is with employees. We say we work for the National Railways of Zimbabwe Pension Fund. So there are 16 types of such funds. Then we've got the other class of pension funds, self-administered. The trustees decide, no, we're not going to have these structures to have the principal, to employ workers who work to manage this, but we'll outsource. Then they'll go to fund administrators, professional fund administrators, and they'll say, can you do this for us? Then they got an arrangement, and they can even go to insurance companies to have such a facility to outsource the management. So in that case, we are talking of the self-administered funds, which are then administered through fund administrators, who can either be professional fund administrators or the insurance, life insurance companies which offer administration of pension funds. And then the other type of pension fund is the insured. The assets of the fund are in the name of an insurer who is charged or who is contracted to run the pension fund. Where we are talking of we are talking of 950 pension funds which are administered by insurance companies. So if you look for the assets of those pension funds, they are not in the name of the pension fund, but the assets are in the name of the insurer who manages those pension funds, basically to take advantage of economies of scale. And that is the membership. We are talking of 800,000 members as at 31st December, and the asset base, we are talking of 5 billion. In 2004, the industry actually had 1.2 million members of pension funds under the different categories which we will learn of later on. So, having said that, what are the challenges which are affecting the industry? We've got the issue of low confidence, which if I ask you here, all of us who are here, to say if you get a windfall of 10,000, how many of you are going to buy a life policy or to invest into a pension fund? How many of us will do that? Okay, how many of us will not do that? Your faces have given me the answer. But why are we having the low confidence levels? It is the legacy issues. But I also want to say that pension and life policies, we need to have a longer term view. As long as we've got a short term view, it will be very difficult to sell or to have confidence in the insurance industry. It's more about the long term view. I'll ask you one thing. I will talk to this aspect. Jobs are very difficult to get in Zimbabwe. Some will argue that yes, I sent my kid to school because they may have the opportunity to go overseas. But for some, they don't even dream their children going overseas. So, why are we sending these children to school? Hakuna mabasa. So, when you talk of pensions and life policies, you may also want to take the view. the long-term view. Are we going to remain where we are? Are things not going to be better? I believe it is better to prepare than to be caught necking and in a position where then you say, I wish I prepared for my old age. So both insurance and pensions, there are issues to do with confidence. And I believe, yes, we've got challenges, but I believe with the right mentality towards pensions and insurance. Just look at Glenview 8. I think it is the fourth, a number of times they've been visited with fires. And some of them have gone out of business. But assuming that they had pension, they had an insurance policy, they could have been cushioned. So it is what we think about the market. And it is also our role as the regulator and also the media to talk about these things and try and restore confidence. Yes, we may be where we are, but is it going to remain, are we going to remain there? Don't we have a better Zimbabwe into the future? It's a question for another day. Then we're talking of a fragmented regulation. I spoke of entities which are not regulated by IPEC, and that can actually cause a regulatory arbitrage. For example, I mentioned that NASA and also the Civil Service Pension Fund is not regulated by IPEC, so it's the medical aid, but now they're coming under the regulation of IPEC. That actually causes regulatory arbitrage where we've got fragmented regulation of any sector. I'll tell you, for example, talking about medical aid societies. We had some companies who applied to do medical insurance. Of course, medical aid is medical insurance. It's a matter of technicalities and how you want to define that. So some players actually came and applied for a license. And we evaluated their applications. Then we told them, no, you do not qualify to hold a license under IPEC. Then in 2-3 months' time, we see them operating after they've been licensed by the Ministry of Health. From us, we're saying they cannot be able to run a viable pool, but they go to another regulator and say, oh yeah, okay, you can't come into the market. So that's the challenge of fragmented regulation, which should, if possible, be avoided. We talk of the issue of foreign currency. We've got some risks which need to be reinsured. Let me just go a bit back and just talk about insurance to put this into the proper perspective about the issue of foreign currency. You've got the policyholder, you've got the insurer, but behind the insurer, you've got the reinsurer, who is the insurer to the insurer. And behind the reinsurer, there's retrocessioners. They also go and reinsure. So the business in Zimbabwe was, we realized that if you take a risk, you may not be able to pay the risk. So you need somebody to back you up in that. So you reinsure. And most of the reinsurance arrangements are done with foreign companies who need to be paid in foreign currency. So there are some risks like fire. Fire does not happen on a daily basis, but when it does happen, it can be disastrous. Just imagine this place being burnt down. How much will it cost? So, but this hotel is actually insured by one of the players in the market, who on his balance it cannot be able to pay for the loss. But they've made arrangements with the reinsurers somewhere outside. So we need, the industry needs foreign currency to be able to pay for its reinsurance arrangements. Poor corporate governance is a national cancer, isn't it? But for this market, it's bad because you are saying there is people's money which is involved here. Promises may not be met if the corporate governance issues are not addressed. And we continue to work towards improving on corporate governance by giving the necessary guidelines and also enforcing through our activities which involve off-site and on-site inspections. In pensions, we've got high pension areas which have been already been mentioned earlier on, and also high expense ratios for some of the pension funds. Because we've got high expense ratios, remember that equation there, it will actually mean that the retirement income will actually be adversely affected. On that note, I want to thank you. And if there are any questions, maybe I give over to Zelina.
We asked to write down questions. We have 10 minutes to take questions. Are there some written down, or is somebody ready to fire off straight away? Somebody got a burning question they want to start off with, or can we have your submissions of questions? All right, we're going to take them verbally.
Yes.
So you can start off with your name and agency you're representing, please.
Participant for Star FM. I just want clarity on the different roles from the insurer and reinsurer, and the same with the assurer and reassurer. What are the differences and the roles that they play?
I think maybe I'll be talking to this. It may or it may not happen. That's why for non-life it's more insurance. When you talk of life, it's assurance. But nowadays they also take those policies which you say may or may not happen. So now we say Life Officers Association, we are talking of the probability of it happening, aspects of happening, then we refer to as assurance. Like funeral, it's not insurance, it's assurance. They have funeral assurance. One day it will happen. When it does happen, there's that greater promise. Did you pay, are you paying your premiums? Are we?
Yes.
Faithful?
Yes.
Oh, but just doing it.
But I'm worried about the medical aids, and I think which is what will take me to my next question to you on the issue of fragmented regulation. What then are you doing as IPEC to engage maybe the relevant ministries or authorities that grant those medical aid societies the licenses?
No, a policy decision has been made as pronounced in the budget statement that medical aid should by June, end of June, they should be transferred. Their regulation should be transferred. And that there is some work happening here to ensure that that happens. But it cannot happen in the absence of the relevant laws supporting that stable regulation of medical aid society.
Clarity on the different roles from the insurer and reinsurer, and the same with the assurer and reassurer. What are the differences and the roles that they play?
One is the difference between the reinsurer and the insurer. The insurer is not the direct interface with it. The insurer is it C2B or B2C? What is it?
Yes, customer to business to customer.
Business to customer. You got the direct link with the customer. But when you talk of reinsurance, it's B2B, business to business. We are saying that the insurer will take a risk or will make the promise to pay for the losses. But he realizes that he does not have the capacity to do that on his own. So you take some of the risk and place them with another insurer who only deals with it.
Public service is under government. Then there's that matter. 9% keys
since all these regulators are originating from the government, why can't we have one standalone board which deals with issues to do with pension and insurance? Since the mandate of these bodies is to protect the consumer rights, and also since that's the government's responsibility to protect the consumer rights, why can't we have one overall body which deals with these insurance and pension issues so that we limit losses on the part of the beneficiary? Look at it. From the NSSA perspective, when they get payouts, taxes will apply. From the public service, pensions will apply. Why can't we only say those organizations which are able to also offer in addition to one regulatory contribution, if they are able to offer another package to their employees or contributors, they will also do that in addition to one board. Because if you are saying that NSSA is mandatory, it means that all these other subcategories, the person will get a chunk taken out from by these other contributors, and they will also be taken from their own regulator. I'm not sure if it's clear what I'm trying to do.
I'll ask you for clarity. I'll try and explain. If I don't address what you're saying from the way I think I did, if I hear you well, you are talking of NSSA is mandatory, which means for my salary NSSA takes 7%. 6%. I'm not very taking on this, you guys. I will not tell them. Which means they're not contributing. Okay. 3.5% is employed. 7%. So they take 7%. Okay. I contribute 3.5%. NSSA, my employer, IPEC contributes the other 3.5%. Then this one, I don't contribute because they're not a civil servant. But my employer comes here and says, IPEC, we want to have a pension fund for you. And my employer puts 4%, I put 7.5%. So I got a pension which I will get from NSSA, and I got another pension which I get from my IPEC pension fund. So your question, are you saying all these, instead of having this voluntary and this NSSA, they should just be one? That's one. Is it what you are talking about? Or we are saying IPEC and NSSA look like they are the same?
IPEC and NSSA look like they are the same.
No. Right. NSSA is in the pensions industry. It is actually collecting contributions and investing those contributions so that it will be able to pay pensions when people get to their retirement age. And on the other hand, IPEC is the regulatory authority which says what is happening here, because I said NSSA is not under the purview of IPEC, but your pension fund equates all the other pension funds which are voluntary fall under the purview of IPEC. Not that IPEC collects contributions, but IPEC actually is looking at the protection of policyholders, right? IPEC comes in when you talk of protection of the interests of the public, ensuring that both existing and potential pension fund members are protected. How do we do it? We start by licensing. You cannot just start a pension fund without being licensed. So that's the gateway into the industry. And we also monitor, or we create the regulations or advise the government on changing the regulation to say there's a gap here we need to protect. For example, I've got the statutory instrument 80 of 2017, which talks about the trustees. We realize that in the market, most trustees, those charged with the running of pension funds, were actually this one. Most pension funds were actually being managed by trustees who were not up to the task in terms of their skills. Because for a pension fund, you say generally half the trustees should be appointed by the employer and half of the trustees should be appointed by the members. And normally when you talk of members, the general understanding is that this should be the employees, or rather they are the employees of the sponsoring employer. So over the years, the guys whom you saw sitting on the workers' union, workers' committee, they were then the same guys who were voted into the pension fund as the trustees. But the skills which one needs to be a workers' committee member and to sit as a trustee charged with the investment of funds for a better retirement income, they are totally different. Because on a workers' committee, you simply be vocal, fearless, and you get your people say, "I don't need it." But when it comes to a trustee, you should have an understanding of investments. You should have an understanding of running a business, of investing money on behalf of others. So basically, you realize that that's a shortfall, and you get guidelines, and you even made it mandatory for anybody to become a trustee. They should have a minimum qualification in trusteeship. So our role is to have the oversight. We are not one of the players to taking contributions, but we say the contributions you are taking, are you managing them properly? So we are like the Reserve Bank to the banks. We are like the Reserve Bank to the banks. That is what we are like to the insurance and the pensions market.
Oh, so you are the portals of the pensions market.
You may say that. Yes, exactly something
Very good question. Yes. We take one more question, not to say that we will stop taking questions, we just want to keep to the program. We will have another question session after the NASA presentation, in which case if we're operating in good time, we will then continue to have any more questions that you might have out there. So if we can have one last question for now so that we can get on into the next presentation. Let's go, ladies.
I'm Grace from ZBC TV. My question is on core corporate governance. As it is contributing to the low uptake of insurance by people, what is being done to ensure that those insurers that fall short on corporate governance issues, what is IPEC doing to ensure that they bring them into line?
Okay, when you talk of corporate governance, it's a broad subject, but the short of which you are saying how are decisions made at a corporate level, who makes those decisions? Are they qualified? Do they have the skills to make those decisions? You talk of the issues of conflict of interest. How conflicted, if they are conflicted, how do they manage the issues of conflict of interest? So as IPEC, we issued guidelines in terms of corporate governance, and even when we do our own site inspections, we even go through the board of the minutes of the boards, what decisions, how do they make their decisions? And when we notice any deficiencies, we call the entity to correct them. Well, there are some people who have been called or asked to step down from their positions because of them being conflicted. We have asked for the change of board of trustees, the change in the composition of the board of insurance entities, as we pick on those. So there are a number of things which can be done, but what you're simply saying, you're saying if the corporate governance is proper, because the success or failure of a business depends on how decisions are made in those particular boards. So we're very interested, because when we do our assessment of any entity, we look at the effectiveness of the board. We look at how does the board manage the risks, which may make it impossible for the promise to be delivered. There's the issues of insider borrowing, which we don't take lightly. So there are a number of issues which come under the umbrella of corporate governance.
Maybe just in addition to that,
For those who are appointed into senior positions, managing directors, CEOs, we have what we call the fit and proper test. So we have to approve, as the regulator, we have to approve people who are appointed into those positions. If we find that you have issues, maybe previous issues about your failure to manage agencies and staff, we won't approve such. So appointment to senior positions has to be approved by IPEC.
So if you want to be a director in the insurance industry, you cannot avoid IPEC. They want to see your CV where if you were to declare that I've never been a manager of a failed entity, or if you were, you want to say how will you not responsible for the failure of that particular entity.
Sorry, I missed the question. I was busy asking for the next presentation. Could you repeat the question? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. She was asking about what we do about
What NASA does about corporate data?
No, IPEC.
IPEC, which you've answered. Thank you. All right. So we know that there's a lot of questions that I see you all scribbling down. Just to recap, we will have another question-answer session in about 45-50 minutes after the NASA session. Depending on how many questions you have for NASA, we will take some then. Any questions that are not addressed today, or if you think about questions after the event, please feel free to email those to our customer services team, and we will make sure that the answers get back to you in writing from the necessary or appropriate representative that has been presented today. So thank you very much for that. At this stage, we would like to call upon
pension fund members. So there arises a problem there. To what extent then can these guys be trusted with your money? You know, if only when the love of God, love thy neighbor as you love yourself, there will be conflicts of interest, and they will manage the funds in the best way for the pension fund members and also for policyholders. But unfortunately, we are selfish, and without structures and mechanism to manage the conflict of interest, management for pensions may end up being used for other purposes for the benefit of those who are charged with the running of the pensions and also the insurance entities. And that basically calls for regulation. So that's where IP comes in, to ensure that these guys,
because they don't have the knowledge about social security, they may choose to stay out, and they have to be hardened. It also starts with the organizer, the director of ceremonies. We are not National Social Security Association. We are the National Social Security Authority. We'll start with a small video as an icebreaker, and then we'll go to the presentation. Thank you. If that can happen.
You can also put the mic on the speaker.
Thank you very much. Now, I will be discussing with you. There's some funds that is coming. Hello? That's better. Thank you. Right. I will need to take you through some journey on IPEC with Social Security. I know that a lot of people don't quite understand Social Security, which is the business that NSSA is in. So I will unpack NSSA's mandate as a social security institution. Now my presentation will look at who is NSSA, the governance structure, the overriding mandate, definitions, pension and other benefit scheme, one of the schemes, the accident prevention and workers' compensation scheme, schemes financing, and we also have a challenge which we call the coverage gap. Now, who is NSSA? Terms of reference. Where does NSSA derive its terms of reference to be doing this business? NSSA was created by an Act of Parliament, the NSSA Act, Chapter 1704 of 1989. It is mandated to administer every scheme and fund established in terms of the Act, and also to advise the Minister. In this case, we're talking about the Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, because NSSA falls under that ministry. So we advise the Minister on all matters of the operation of the schemes, and also any issues relating to Social Security generally. We are the experts, Social Security, so we have to advise the Minister so that the country has got a comprehensive social security system. So currently, we are administering two schemes. We have one that is administered under Statutory Instrument 68 of 1990, which is the accident prevention and workers' compensation scheme. Then we have the pension and other benefit scheme, which is in the pension business. It's administered in terms of Statutory Instrument 393 of 1993. We also have a delegated authority to administer occupational safety and health. So we're not only into pensions and insurance for whatever, but we also enforce occupational safety and health. You have to be safe, journalists. We recently experienced the issues of cyclone, accidents at work. So we are there to provide preventive measures to make sure that you remain healthy and alive. So we administer the Factories and Works Act, Chapter 1408, and also the Pneumocnosis Act. Some people find challenges to pronounce that. Pneumocnosis Act 1508. So these ones deal with occupational safety and health at the workplace. Now, in terms of governance, where I also try to touch on the issues of regulation, because it's a topic that has been touched upon by IPEC. No, in terms of governance, NSSA is covered by a tripartite body in line with international best practice, ILO recommendations. What are we saying here? We have 3 representatives from government, 3 representatives from the employers, 3 representatives from the employees. These are the key stakeholders in the business of NSSA. So they are equally represented there. And NSSA, in terms of regulation, I already alluded to the fact that is under an Act of Parliament, the NSSA Act, Chapter 1704. So all the operations are guided by that Act, and also various notices, the statutory instruments. Supervision, we are under the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare, and this is also in line with international best practice. With Social Security, is a labour issue, so those three partners have to come together and see how the Social Security is managed or administered. But not only that, when it comes to all matters or financial matters, the Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare does not proceed with the decisions without consulting the Minister of Finance. It's enshrined in the NSSA Act to say that Minister will have to consult the Minister responsible for finance. So that's again part of the regulation and governance. And NSSA also comes before various parliamentary committees under the oversight issue. We come before the Parliamentary Committee on Finance. NSSA is audited by the Auditor General in the interest of the public. And NSSA is mandated to publish its financials annually, which are public information, and the public can scrutinize and ask any questions on that. So that's precisely, or in a nutshell, how NSSA is regulated. Now, what is the overriding mandate of NSSA? NSSA, being a social security, is there to enhance the economic well-being of its members and their dependents. What does that mean? That will contribute to poverty eradication, and this is in line with Sustainable Development Goal number 1. What does it do? It seeks to end poverty in all its forms everywhere, through, among other things, expanding social protection programs and targeting appropriate schemes to the poor and most vulnerable society. And this is also in sync with our Vision 2030. We want to eradicate poverty. So that's what social security does. They are there to assist in fighting poverty. I think we are aware that our poverty rate is high in terms of head count, about 70%, I think. In terms of definitions, I want us to understand social security so that we appreciate the business that NSSA is in. Now, social security, by definition, in terms of the ILO definition here, it is the protection which society, underline that word, government being there for society, provides for its members through a series of public measures. Again, you can underline public measures against the economic and social distress that otherwise would be caused by the stoppage. Mr. Kakwere alluded to the fact of the promise to give you income replacement or income security in the event of these risks happening. That's precisely what we're doing. The difference is that we are social insurance. So, work stoppage will be caused by invalidity, whereby somebody will not be able to work because of ill health, old age. I think we saw that old person there. Death of a breadwinner, sickness, maternity. There's a debate on maternity there, where we are saying, for maternity, we know the important national duty that our women do of having to carry the baby for all that long in their wombs, and also then to deliver and make sure that we have future leaders, future workers, future journalists. And they have to be protected when it comes to period of maternity. But employers are also crying on the other side, which is understandable. They are there to make profit. But now, when our beloved women go on maternity, an employer may pay 2 salaries for one job. I think you'll agree with me. Or they have to pay the women on maternity, and they also have to pay, if it is an important job like one of journalism, they have to replace. Somebody has to remain behind doing the job. And this person must be paid. So it's basically in terms of costs, paying 2 salaries for one job. Employers will have a problem with that. So we agreed that let's have an arrangement with other countries whereby we have a program, a scheme that will take care of the salaries or salary of our beloved women when they are on maternity, so that the employer is also protected in terms of cost. So we will need schemes called maternity, then there's also employment injury, then there's also unemployment and many others. You recall the July 2015 rule, where suddenly a lot of people lost jobs. And suddenly the family had no clue on how to bring food to the table. But with the unemployment scheme, you are given some period whereby you get income from the scheme while you are looking for the next job. We are protecting people from falling into poverty when we do that as a country. Right. Social security is a human right in terms of those articles, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Philadelphia, 1948. It is also a human right in terms of the SADC Code of Social Security, Article 4. And closer home, our Constitution, Zimbabwe Constitution, Chapter 2, Section 30, it compels the state to take measures to provide social security and social care to all those who are in need. So social security should leave nobody behind because it is an important tool for fighting poverty. Technology. I don't know what has happened to my machine here. Maybe I have to do it manually. Yeah. Pausing. Something's happening here. Thank you. So, this will take me to my next slide, which is that tree that you see there. In terms of social security, this is a world phenomenon. Our reference point is Convention 102 of the ILO 1952, which provides for social security minimum standards. What it says is that every country in the world should strive to provide arrangements for managing these risks in the life cycle. These are the 9 branches of social security, which as a country, we should have programs in place to actually protect our people in the event of these risks happening. Because they are inescapable. We talk of sickness, maternity, medical care, unemployment, survivors, employment injury, invalidity, old age, and family allowances. And currently, as a country, we are covering only 4 of the 9 branches of social security, those in red, which means we still have 5 more to cover as a country if we are to achieve the minimum standards of social security. This has been alluded, covered already by Mr. Kakwere, is social protection structure, which is adopted by many countries. At the bottom, we have social assistance, social protection floors. These are provided by the state and non-state actors. We are looking at some social assistance that can be provided under the Social Welfare Department in the Ministry of Public Service and Social Welfare. We have the UNICEF and other many NGOs that provide social security to those who cannot provide. It's all under social assistance. Some cash transfers are also given by the government and many non-government actors. NSSA is on the 2nd level, social insurance, compulsory scheme. Talking of the compulsory scheme, or mandatory scheme, a lot of us here, some of us, may not want to testify, but it's a fact. They are proud journalists today, and they are very happy to be celebrities. It's very sweet to be a celebrity, by the way. But I will tell you that somebody had to force some of us to go to school. Somebody had to force some of us to go to school. Some parents had to use all methods to force certain children to go to school because they didn't want, they didn't see any benefit at the end of it. But today, when you are a proud journalist, you don't even think about that because you are enjoying. This is the case of social insurance. It's mandatory because of the myopia that is there amongst our people. Naturally, we don't want to say in the long term. We are short-sighted. But surely, in the long term, we will need this money. So what do? The government, because at the end of the day, it will still be responsible if we are poor. They put in the mandatory programs, such as the one managed by NSSA. I will not labor to talk about occupational pension and private insurance. That has been covered. That will be repetition. Now let me go straight to the pension and other benefit scheme. I want you to understand this one. A lot of people have known NSSA as a pensions organization. But from what I have already explained as Social Security, we are supposed to be covering a lot of branches. Pension is only one of them. So we have this pension and other benefit scheme which provide for old age, invalidity, and death. Going into it, the scheme is a defined benefit. When Mr. Kakwere explained about pension, he said it's a promise. And he went on to say, if you not broken promises, there was silence in the room, which I know a lot of us have broken. For our scheme, the pension and other benefit scheme, which is a defined benefit scheme, if you go to Mr. Kakwere's presentation, in brackets it was called promised benefit, which I did not see on the other arrangements. Truly, this is a promised benefit scheme, defined benefit. He has already explained that. I will not go into it. What has not been clearly covered also when Mr. Kakwere presented is that he correctly said, with the defined benefit, the risk remains with the sponsor, in this case NSSA. Even if the economy does not perform, like our decade-long or more of economic stagnation, hyperinflation, you call it, NSSA is still mandated to pay the promised benefit, regardless of what has happened to the economy and the performance of the investments. Right? So the risk remains with the sponsor. What that does is that is clearly what we call social security, because there should be maximum security. The person should be sure that it will come. No matter at what level, it will have to come. What is key there is the contribution period, the insurable earnings towards the end of the contributing lifetime, and also the accrual rate that is there. That's how the promise is calculated. But with the defined contribution, if you listen carefully, the risk remains with the member. Because what you have to get is contribution plus investment returns. So if the next party does not come through quite well because of some economic challenges, it means the member can also lose. Right? So with the social security, we wouldn't want a member to remain with the risk. It's easy to be social security. It was about putting resources together, and also it's premised on what we call the solidarity concept. The haves may have to pay for the have-nots. If you look at the concept of minimum pension, for example, which is currently $80 by the way, for NSSA, minimum, I'm talking about the minimum pension. We may have people, and I can tell you, in the farming community who were earning $50 as salary or 60. But because there is a minimum pension under this arrangement, it means that person is already getting a replacement rate which is beyond 100. They were earning $60, it's now on $8. It's among some of the members, and it's a significant number. That's what the defined benefit will do. So this is what we manage as NSSA. Now, in terms of who do we cover the formally employed, and the contribution, we've already talked about it, 3.5% on each side, employer and employee. And the insurable earnings is $700. NSSA is designed to be a safety net, let me say, which should be supported by occupational skills. If you realize, for the occupational skills, if it is 7% of your earnings, it is 7% on whatever you earn, or 10%, whatever you can call it, in terms of the contribution rate. But for NSSA, our contribution is kept to give you room to contribute to other schemes. This is 700. You agree with me with what has happened recently, the separation of RTGS dollars and US dollars. $700 probably does not mean much at the moment. But we are saying we deduct NSSA on the first 700 of your salary. It's meant to coexist with other pension arrangements. Now, in terms of the benefits that NSSA pays, we pay what is called the retirement pension or grant, invalid pension or grant, survivor's pension or grant, children's allowance, funeral grant. Who qualifies? Who qualifies for this benefit? You have to know that, so that you will assist us in educating our public. For the pension and also the grant, we are saying any member who has contributed to the pension in other benefits scheme for a minimum of 10 years will qualify for a pension at retirement. If at retirement they have not contributed for the minimum of 10 years, but they have contributed for at least 12 months, we'll give them a lump sum, calculated based on some formula. If a member is retired on medical grounds, having contributed for at least only 12 months, they can go on an invalidity pension. But if the contribution is less than 12 months, we give them invalidity grant. The survivors of a deceased contributor will get a proportion of the pension that the contributor would have gotten. In terms of retirement age, our normal pensionable age is 60 years of age. And there is what we call early retirement for adverse occupations. The adverse occupations are provided for in the statute, as in the mining, forestry, agriculture, you name it. Those can retire early at 55. Then there's also late retirement. If somebody chooses to continue in employment, they can retire late at the age of 65. Our distribution channels for the pension in other benefits scheme, how do we pay? We pay through the banking system, all banks. We pay through mobile money across all networks. This is how we're paying to try and give convenience to our beneficiaries. I want also to mention that we try to enhance the benefits of our beneficiaries by trying to enter into partnerships and arrangements with the private sector. For example, we negotiated through the RBZ exemption of pensions for our retirement pensioners, and it's all banks. In a way, it means we have enhanced their payout. Then, we also introduced a funeral benefit enhancement. Our funeral grant at the moment for anybody who has contributed for at least 12 months is $300. But in 2017, beginning from April, we introduced a funeral benefit enhancement where our retirement pensioners, to give them decent burial, they can enjoy funeral services from a funeral assurer that we worked with. If they have another funeral arrangement, we can give them $500 in lieu of their services. And this additional benefit came with no additional contribution from you as contributors. We looked around at the expense issues and reallocated a certain amount to that funeral benefit enhancement. And it is our wish to continue looking at options and methods of enhancing all the benefits. Now, a lot of people have known NASA, I said, as an organization that provides pensions. As I've said, very low pensions, which we agree to and understand. But the other side, like I already alluded to, was to make you understand the dynamics around the contributions, the fact that it is kept. And when we calculate the benefit, it will be calculated based on insurable earnings. We have a lot of, let me go back and do this one. We have the chief executive officers, senior employees in organizations who will complain at retirement to say, why am I getting a pension that is the same as my juniors? I was the CEO, earning 10,000, whatever it is. But we are saying is NASA. At the end of the day, you are the same. Because you were all contributing at a maximum ceiling of 700. Yes, you were earning your 10,000, whatever. But in terms of contribution to NASA, because of the ceiling, you were contributing the same amount as your juniors. Now the scheme will not segregate, because the calculation will be based on your period of contribution plus insurable earnings, which will be now the same. So they need to understand that. We'll be very happy if you educate the public on this, so that they will not rush to say the pensions are low. We need to understand these dynamics. Okay. Now, the other scheme that NASA administers is the Accident Prevention in the Workers' Compensation Scheme. We are talking of insurance here. This one is actually insurance to the employees against employment injury. What we call employment injury are occupational accidents and occupational diseases. So we are providing insurance for this. Now, this scheme, in terms of funding, is funded through a premium. The employee does not pay anything towards the Accident Prevention Workers' Compensation Scheme. The understanding is that employers will quickly, happily want to insure. He talked about people who lost at the cliff, their equipment, you name it. Employers will quickly, happily want to insure against their assets, the equipment, PPE, but they don't make that a rush to insure the worker against accidents. That's why there is this scheme. The worker is equally an important asset or capital of the company. That's why we need to provide this. So it's supposed to be fully funded by the employer, so the employer does that. Now, what do we pay under the Accident Prevention Workers' Compensation Scheme? There are lump sums for loss of for compensation for disabilities, periodical payments, which is a replacement of lost income during the time you are unfit for work. There is medical aid for any employment injury or disease. We have to cater for the medical expenses. There is rehabilitation. There is the funeral grant, workers' pension, which is basically compensation for any impairment or disability that you may suffer as a result of an accident. There is widow's pension for the surviving dependents, and there is dependent allowance. Now, I want us to take a short tour of the rehabilitation center. It's one of the important deliverables of NASA. Now, this is the rehabilitation center that we are working through. This center is one of its kind. I will say, arguably the best in Africa. This rehabilitation center. It's located close to Muperi, strategically, so that any medical issues that we are not able to handle, they are easily transferred to Muperi. No. So this is the center that we are going into. What do we do at the center? Very important. We have our physiotherapy unit to make sure that you, after some accident, your body is able to function again, to give you functionality. We have electrotherapy. These are all ways of providing rehabilitation. We have this state of the art equipment for body exercise. We have the gym unit with all that equipment. We have the hydrotherapy at the center there. This is some of our dormitories where our patients will be housed with their inpatients. Then we also provide vocational training. You will agree with me that if you are involved in an accident, you may not be able to go back to the same job that you are doing. So what do? We prepare you for some other job that you may go back and do to the same employer, or if the employer cannot take you back, you can start self-sustaining projects based on the new skills. So we provide vocational training at the center. This one is the tailoring unit. We have the leather craft. We also have the metal and welding and woodwork. We have market gardening. And we also have poultry and rabbit keeping, just to mention a few. We are having more courses that are coming in with the changes that are taking place in the world, technology coming in. Then we collect contributions. You probably have seen in the papers or have reported that NASA inspectors are around. You have read about that or you have reported about it. Who move door to door, making sure that we collect the contributions, the money from the employers. What do we do with the money? But well, before I can go to what we do with the money, I want to mention that as you report, you also assist us. We want help from the workers in terms of whistleblowing. We have employers who may deduct contributions. Your contribution, this is your fund, who may deduct contributions from the workers but do not remit to NASA. So we would want the workers to assist by reporting such employers so that some action is taken. Because at the end of the day, it is your pension, not the employer's pension. The employer is only assisting mandatorily by adding on to what you are contributing, but it is your pension. So that at old age, dead, whatever, those benefits are paid. So we collect the money, and we have this tank here. I want to talk about it. I have questions for the other side there, but no problem. What we do is, for the skills, the two that we currently administer, we collect contributions and premiums from the employers and the employees, being the members. And the contributions go into that tank, the reserve tank. What do we do with the money? The money pays the benefits that I have talked about under both schemes. And part of it goes towards administrative expenses. And not all the money that we collect goes towards benefits. We are not a pay-as-you-go. We have a surplus, a certain amount, which we use to build future reserves for long-term and future obligations to pay you, the current contributors, in the future. So what do? We invest that money. This now speaks to all the NASA investments that you may think of, that you have heard about. We invest that money, and from the investment we get returns. The returns go back into the tank. This is the model of the financing of the schemes. Any new scheme that we may implement, we talked of possibly the maternity, possibly unemployment, possibly a sickness, health care. It will still be collection, benefits, investments, administration, and the fund grows bigger and bigger like that. And of course, yes, it has to be managed well. Now, I'm getting closer to the end of my presentation. Yes, I'm almost there. Now, we have this coverage gap. The coverage gap that we have there speaks to, we have said we have 9 branches of Social Security, but ILO Convention 102, it says every country should make an effort to provide minimum standards of social security, which is covering those 9 branches, which we looked at on that tree. So currently as a country, we are covered in 4. Old age, invalidity, death, and old age, invalidity, survival of death, and employment injury. And as a country, we still have not covered 5, which means we have not attained the minimum standards of social security. Now, our informal sector is growing phenomenally. So with the huge informal sector, which is not covered by social security, what it means is that the country is still very far away from attaining the minimum standards, because the greater proportion of the workforce is not covered by social security. By the way, we have said it's a human right. So without social security, workers in the informal sector are vulnerable to poverty, which probably will speak to the high poverty rate in the country, because the bigger proportion of our workforce are not covered by these arrangements. So they are vulnerable to poverty in the event of those life contingencies, which we have talked about, old age. There is a risk of poverty at old age for those people without these arrangements. Death, sickness, access to health care, employment injury, unemployment invalidity. So what we are saying is that as a country, as social security, as an institution that is mandated to provide social security, extension of social security coverage to the informal sector is inevitable. It is actually inexorable. So, what are we doing as social security? We are saying, given that social security schemes are important tools for fighting poverty, and our informal sector constitutes about 94.5% of the country's labor force. This is according to the Zimstat survey 2015. These people are in dire need of social security cover, so that we also assist them to escape poverty or not to be trapped in it. So what are the efforts to close the coverage gap? So in response to this coverage gap, NSSA is currently working on developing a social security scheme for workers in the informal sector. And we are, through our ministry, working on securing partnership with the ILO, because they are the authors of social security and they have expertise in developing these schemes. They have assisted many countries. So through our ministry, Ministry of Public Safety, Labour and Social Welfare, we are working on securing partnership and signing of an MOU with the ILO so that we work together in this. We already started some work as NSSA. We carried out a survey whereby we looked at the private social security needs of the market, people in the informal sector, and we've got some knowledge about it. We also did some stakeholder engagement in the process. So we already have a database of information, but now we are moving a step further. After we gotten feedback from the market, we are now roping in an international partner, the ILO, to now assist in developing the scheme. So these are the efforts that are underway in terms of trying to close the coverage gap. I thank you.
So, journalists, again, lots of food for thought. There's lots of very valuable information in that presentation for you to make sure that you're carrying forward and helping to educate the population. We are reaching out to those individuals who are unaware of all of this information, unaware of how they can benefit from participating, and you are the custodians of that information, so we are looking forward to you leveraging that, taking advantage of that, and bringing that information to the light in a very provocative way that's going to make them interested and engaged and read and actually do something about it. And hopefully we'll see some inflows into that. So we're now going to have questions. We have 15 minutes before the end of the session. So unless the presenters are time bound, we will run as long as you need us to be here, but no later than 11:45. But for now, for the next 15 minutes, we'd like to take some questions for NASA, and if there's any that you would like to squeeze in again for IPEC, then we will do. First question, please. Any questions? Please stand.
Very clear.
Make it come quick, we got 15.
My question is that from the ILO standards, you're saying that NASA currently is covering 4 out of 9, right? But considering that Botswana and South Africa, they also have got unemployment rates. How are they managing to sustain their unemployed? They've got orphans, they've got old age, they've got people with HIV and AIDS. But on a monthly basis in Botswana, people will go to specified shops, people will go to the Botswana Post to get money. How are they managing to do that, which you are not able to do?
First of all, they have a contributory unemployment scheme. That one is there. They have.
Who contributes?
The employees and the employers
to
the scheme. They contribute to the unemployment scheme so that for a certain period, I think a year or 6 months, whatever, if the person goes out of employment for whatever reason, they will be covered in terms of income replacement by the scheme, giving them time to look for another job. But you alluded to all those programs that are running in those countries, whereby those people go there and get benefits. They are state funded, which probably our government may not have capacity to do. If you looked at the pyramid, where I talked about social assistance, social protection flows, they are state funded. These countries like South Africa, even as small as Lesotho, they have a universal pension scheme, fully funded by the state, whereby the qualification criteria is only citizenship and old age, a certain age, but it's funded by the state. If we have adequate resources, South Africa has got so many non-contributory programs. Child grants, you saw on the tree where I said family benefits. Those ones usually are not contributory. They will be provided by the state. This is for grants for children, vulnerable children, even Lesotho has got, but that is fully funded and non-contributory. It's funded from taxes by the government. So it speaks to the issue of physical space. Do we have enough resources that we can reallocate to social security? Remember, the Abuja Declaration even said countries in SADC or African Union, I think, should allocate 15% of the budget to healthcare, which we are not doing. This is the case of also allocating a certain percentage of GDP towards social protection so that we provide for all these risks, but non-contributory. So those two countries that I've mentioned, the majority of the programs are non-contributory, financed by the state. But they have the pension arrangements where people contribute, and employment injury where only the employers contribute. And for Botswana, I think they now already have maternity scheme contributory. Thank you.
Excellent food to challenge our national government. It's over to you, journalists. Can we have a couple more questions?
You just gave us an update on...
Sorry, could you start with your name and the agency you're coming from?
Sorry, Melody from Same End. You just gave us an update on the last part where you were saying NASA is developing a scheme to rope up the informal sector. From my little knowledge, I understand that it's been on the cards for a while. I just want to find out why is it taking NASA so long to finish this project? Why did you specifically have to rope up, not to engage ILO? Is it too difficult a task for NASA to handle on its own? Thank you.
I acknowledge that probably we have taken this long. But let me say we started the research in 2017, towards the end. Social security programs is a long-term commitment. It's a program that should exist for life. So, they are long-term projects, even in terms of development. You don't rashly develop and say you've already implemented. So it has got stages through which you have to go. Adequate research, benchmarking, you name it. So that is the reason, probably, why it has taken what you may look at as too long. But for developers of schemes, it may not be too long. This pension and other benefits scheme, which was introduced in October 1994, I am informed that it took a couple of years for the stakeholders to deliberate on it, put the seed of developing the scheme, going into all the nitty-gritties, the researches, and finally implementing the scheme that we call the pension and other benefits scheme today. So in the same way, we would not want to implement a scheme that will not be sustainable. Whereas still for the informal sector, it will be voluntary. There's a high risk that if certain things are not done correctly, you can have a high in and out of members, and you will not sustain it. So you need to do adequate research and say, how do you develop it and package it, including some incentives. So this is coming from advice from international partners like the ILO I'm talking about, because they've assisted also many countries in developing such schemes. By the way, they are still assisting some countries who are developing schemes as we speak. For example, Zambia, in Tanzania, they are developing. So it's kind of some warning to say this is the roadmap that we have to follow to develop the scheme. While bringing them in, we want their guidance in developing this scheme. They also did assist even in the development of the other schemes that we have at the moment. So we don't want to run into the risk of we have got some limitations, we will acknowledge that, in terms of designing and modeling a scheme that will stand the test of times. So we are bringing them in to make sure that what we are doing conforms or is aligned to international best practice. And there will be very little room for failure if everything is done according to that the guidance that is given by the ILO. Thank you.
More branches in that tree coming to life. Hopefully over the course of the next year, no pressure. Right, can we have one more question before we...
Just a follow-up question on your response. Do you have timelines? I'm mindful of what you said. You have to be meticulous and everything, but do you have a set time frame for that program for the informal sector?
I wouldn't want to fully commit to the timelines, but we have timelines. Because we have a roadmap, some Gantt chart, that will work with the ILO. But what we have now is our own roadmap that we developed without the ILO. It has got timelines. But we are sure that those timelines may be adjusted when the specialists also come in. But without the specialists, we were hoping to say by early next year, we should have the scheme, or towards the end of this year. That is us based on our own roadmap. But there is assurance that that will change. Because the ILO will come in and guide us to say, this one will take this long, this one will take this long, and this one had excluded, it must be included. That's why for me, at the moment, it may be difficult to really commit timelines. But what I can assure you is that we are moving very fast. We want to move very fast. That I can assure you. We are moving very fast, but maybe short of committing to specific timelines. But we are very alive to the issues of timing. I can tell you that. Thank you.
Maybe just as an addition to what Mr. Muperi said and from Mr. Kakwere's presentation, I'm sure you saw where Mr. Kakwere said in terms of membership, was it 800,000 or it was 800,000? 800,000, yes. Yeah. So that's on the occupational and the individual pension schemes. Then you have NASA How many, in terms of numbers, do you have the membership?
Total, only above 3 million.
Above 3 million.
But active members, about 1.3.
Okay.
So, current contributors. The others are just waiting to come and claim their dues, the promised benefits.
So you take 1.3, you add 800,000 from the private occupational pension schemes and individual pension schemes. Then you add the public service. Public service, they should be around 300,000, 400,000. So if you are to look at all those numbers, it gives you less than 3 million. But from the statistics by Zimstat, in terms of working age population, it was around 8 million. So it means you have a population of about 5 million people who have no source of income post-retirement or when they retire. So it's a very risky situation that you as journalists can see how you can bring it up. And probably from what Mr. Muperi is saying, the scheme that they are planning to work on to target the informal sector, so that when they've retired or they can no longer work, they will still have a source of income. There is no way the state will continue to sustain or fund social security when people have retired. So it's a very big risk that we have almost 5 million people who have no source of income post-retirement. So you could play around those figures, see how you can, the thought leadership coming from the media. So I just wanted to add that in terms of why you are pursuing the informal sector and the risk that is there in terms of those who are covered.
One last question. Last question. Considering the contributions that you collect from us, we all acknowledge they are small, and we have these austerity for prosperity measures that are creeping into the economy. The value of money that you are paying out obviously is getting eroded with this inflationary thing. And we all acknowledge that the people that are getting this money are those people that no longer have any other source of income. They have retired, some of them are in the rural areas. Is there anything that you are doing to kind of incentivize or preserve value for these guys who are relying solely on this these monies that they get from NASA? Then you realize that when you do your payouts, you do them through some banks. There's this thing that I've got hold of, whereby a number of pensioners are falling prey to card cloners. And most of them, they've got their money stolen through the insecure systems of the banks that you're channeling your money through. I don't know, are you doing something about it? Or have you received such reports? Thank you.
I'll start the last question. We have not received such reports, but the solution will need all stakeholders to take part. This is happening in the banking sector. As a pension fund, we have transmitted the money through the channels that are available for paying the pensions. But as all stakeholders, we now have to look at the issues of cybercrime, cyber security, and help each other so that they don't lose. So the banking sector are equally important. In fact, they are the primary, they have the primary responsibility to protect their customers. They will be their customers at the bank level. But yes, we are concerned because we want our pensioners to enjoy that money so that they get the basics that they're supposed to get from our pension. So we have not received it. We have not specifically done anything about it because it is not something that has come through to say that is happened to them, but it's a reality. So all we are saying is that to engage the banks, if it happens, to say how do we deal with this from the cyber security kind of issue. They are not our partners. I think I alluded to the fact that we negotiated for exemption of bank charges for our pensioners, and all banks agreed to that, and they are exempting. So we can fight this together with the banks and also any other people in the ICT space to deal with that. The next question, the first question, what we are doing to preserve value for pensioners in the first regardless of what that is happening. What we do is that annually, we do an assessment of the value of our pension. And we are required to do actual evaluation of the fund. We are only able to adjust pensions in as far as the actuaries have recommended that the fund will be able to carry those adjustments. Because the other concern is to say, small as it may be, but we have to continue to pay it. We don't want to eat everything today and we close and tomorrow everybody's in trouble. So what we are doing currently is that we increased it to $80. By the way, this is only the minimum pension. There's a misconception where I think people will then say NSSA is paying $80. $80 is the minimum pension, where we say, regardless of what comes out of the formula, remember we said promised benefits, and the promised benefit we get it by calculating using your formula, which has got an accrual rate, a contribution period, and earnings at retirement. Then we get a figure. Using that formula, there are people whose amounts would have to be below 80, but then the law says, no, we don't want people to be unable to buy the basics. Everybody, regardless of what they've contributed, must earn at least $80. But we have people who are earning much higher than that, depending on their contributions. For example, our highest earner is 1,920 something. Somebody will say, how did they achieve that? There's a time during hyperinflation where the ceiling was removed, because we were changing almost every week. And the lawmaker said, no, it doesn't make sense. Money is losing value daily. So they removed the ceiling. So these people, when we dollarized, from April 2009 to May 2010, there was no ceiling. The policymakers were still debating on it, and some people contributed based on their actual earnings. And they were lucky to retire during the time that there was no ceiling. And like Mr. Kakwere said, the calculation is based on your earnings at retirement. So the calculation was based on the actual earnings, and suddenly they are on 1.928. They are earning much higher than some of our employees at the moment. So the $80 is minimum pension. I want you to understand that. There are people who earn much more than that. But nevertheless, that is not to say we are not doing something. We recently carried out an actuarial evaluation. We increased in October 2017, and we did the evaluation based on the accounts for 2017 now to consider if we can increase for 2018. So that evaluation has been done, and everything is now at ministerial level for consideration to see what will come out. So this is where we are. And at the end of 2018, when our accounts are out, we will need to carry another evaluation. So this is how we progress. So we continuously look at that and say, based on actual evaluation, what can the fund do in terms of adjusting payouts? So we've already done that, and we're thinking about that, we'll continue to do it. Thank you.
Yeah, I think an important point to remember is that whatever recommendation is made, ultimately, the Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare will have to consult with the Minister of Finance. Thank you.
Okay, just for Mr. Kakwere to add on why sometimes people complain that
to be understood is on retirement, your pension will depend on your contributions, what you've accumulated in that pension fund, and the returns thereof to the pension fund. So at times we get these complaints where somebody is complaining about a pension. And like Mr. Muperi says, them to say, in terms of NSSA, there are some people who are earning more than what they were earning in their lifetime of employment on a monthly basis. But when it comes to defined contribution schemes, your pension can only be a fraction of the salary which you've been earning. So maybe the question which you guys should be asking, and even if you become a pension fund trustee, is to say what is the target replacement ratio? Because what you want to look at is say, from my pension, should I retire, how much will I earn as a percentage of my current income? So there is actually a shock issue on realization retirement, especially of the executives. Their salaries are made of some benefits, some perks, which are not subject to pension deduction. The pension deduction is on the basic salary. So on retirement, already your perks are taken off. And what you're going to get is based on what was being deducted on your basic. So in terms of the replacement ratio, you may actually end up noting that the replacement ratio may be quite low. So as you plan for your retirement, you need to ask, how much am I going to earn as a percentage of my current income, which is the replacement ratio. So if we start talking to that, the reality of what you will be financially on retirement makes a lot of sense, and we plan according for our retirement.
I think we have pretty much run out of time. Please give a round of applause to our presenters. Thank you very much, Mr. Kakwere and Mr. Muperi, for some very enlightening information. Just a reminder that the presentation copies will be circulated to you as the PowerPoint presentations, as well as the Commissioner's opening session that was presented by his executive assistant earlier on. These will be available to you and sent this afternoon from our Zoom selected team, so look out for that. The video footage and photography will be available, I understand Irvin's committed to, by Monday. He usually sends the photographs on our WhatsApp group, but via email the videos, or he will make sure that they're distributed. He is on the group, so he's available. So we're looking forward to you using all of that footage and video photography in your articles. The challenge is now open to you journalists. You are the custodians of the information that we have shared with you today, right from the very horse's mouth. So we are hoping that you will take full advantage of that, take full advantage of access to the presenters. I think at this stage, probably just a reminder, I think ZBC were wanting to interview Mr. Muperi. I think they've already done Mr. Kakwere. So maybe if you can make your way out to the reception, Mr. Muperi, they're waiting for you. So in the meantime, just to run through some recaps. Custodians, the race is open for you. We are looking for you to please present information from the perspective of the consumers of the insurance products out there. So think of them. We are looking to you to please use this information to increase awareness, increase their understanding, make them aware of what they should be doing and what you think they should be knowing about insurance and pensions as you've understood them today. We're looking for diverse articles, diverse angles. So try and be creative. Watch out what your colleagues are reading and writing about so that you can present something different. We're not looking for duplication. We're not looking for you to simply regurgitate everything that we've presented today. We're hoping that you will turn it around, look for alternative quotes, look for alternative sources of information from the industry, from the regulators. We have many other associations. We talked about Life Officers Association, Insurance Institute of Zimbabwe, Insurance Council of Zimbabwe, the Pensions Industry Association. You know, we are available to you between IPEC and NSSA and Zim Selected to help you find those alternative angles if you're struggling for an angle or a source for information. So basically, the world is open to you. There's no excuses for exciting, enthusiastic articles. Don't be shy. The purpose of the session is that, yes, we will objectively criticize and critique, but it's for constructive purposes of helping you improve your understanding. So don't hesitate at all to write anything, because the more you write, the more we can critique, the more you will improve. And that's exactly how the journalists that attended last year actually got to the levels of excellence that they did by the end of the program. So we're there to help you, not to be police or criticize you in any way. So please don't feel shy and do come forward. In terms of articles, again, just a reminder that we're looking for a minimum of one. That's not to say only one. maximum is unlimited, but what we are looking for is quality of content, wide reach, so try and make sure that those articles are reached as widely as possible, and engagement. So wherever you have the opportunity to get engagement, if it's radio, if it's television, making sure that maybe you give the opportunity for people to maybe write in, ask questions that follow on from your articles. And similarly, if you're on digital press, maybe increasing your blogs and other social media engagement for those articles. Those are the kinds of things that we'll be looking at when we do the evaluation. We have the Journalist of the Month Award, just to recap on that. So at the next session, we will reserve 15 minutes to make an announcement on who we feel were the Journalist of the Month. There will be a two runners-up for that award. Only the winner takes away some money, the others get some certificates. The panel that has been sitting at this table, comprised of NSSA, IPEC and ZimSelector, will be the adjudicators for those awards. So do send them in. Because of that, we would then ask for a deadline of, our next session is on the 26th of April. We'll forward you more information on that on the group. But by the week before, which is the 19th, I think, of April, Friday the 19th of April, we will use that as the deadline to cut off receipt of all the emails which you will need to send us with your articles. If it's printed press, we need a nice image of it. If it's digital, send us the link. If it's a radio or television, we need the video or the audio footage being sent through to our customer services line. Caroline's in charge of that, so she will be coordinating all of that. So make sure they're in by the 19th so that we have ample time to distribute those amongst the various members who obviously also have day jobs, so don't leave it to the last minute. So as soon as you publish the article, send them in so that we can start analysing those, so that you're given a fair assessment. Articles that are not submitted will not be evaluated, because we can't guarantee that we will read in the press every single article, so you need to please share those with us so that they are put into the journey. Those articles at the end of the year will all contribute towards the assessment of who we feel would be the Journalist of the Year. Okay? Again, finally, just to close off, a very warm-hearted thanks to the sponsors for the event. If you can please join me giving a very warm round of applause for the Social Security Authority and IPEC, who are with us today, who have kindly funded and made these events possible. We've got colleagues, my colleagues from IPEC and NSSA here, got Constance and Lloyd, who I'm very grateful for. They work very hard in supporting us to make sure that everything and all the logistics are made possible. The ZimSelector team, Caroline there, thank you very much. She works very hard to keep you all in track, so do look after her and don't give her too much hard work, please, journalists. Be on time with your articles, and please be on time for attendance. Today was very well represented. I think we managed to start off on time. If you can please keep to that. Again, to the photographers, thank you very much to Urban and his team. Very lastly, the name tags that you're wearing, we will reuse. So please, to avoid us having to reprint these valuable assets, could you please leave them at the counter that you accepted them from in the morning? Thank you very much. I think that's it. Group photo.